Hello, hello, hello. Happy Monday, everyone. How's everyone doing? Good morning, Sterling. Good morning, Patrick. Yeah, your Eurozone CPI is still running a little hot. Thank you for putting in there, Sterling. Running at 2.4, hotter than expected. And core running 2.6. What else do we have? They're still working on the potential peace deal with Ukraine. Thank you for putting that in. We have Trump over the weekend announcing the strategic crypto reserve. No comment. No comment. By the way, did you see that somebody with 50 times leverage pretty much right before the announcement bought tons of Bitcoin and Ethereum? Like $200 million worth at 50 times leverage. Nothing to see there. Good morning, John. All right. Well, thank you for putting in the very light earnings. Good morning, Royal Palms. Good morning, Bull Strike Cheetah. Good morning, Jacob. Hope everyone, again, had a wonderful weekend. We have a busy end of the week. Hello, Charles. Hello. Thank you for tuning in. So we have a busy end of the week again with Fed speak and non-farm payrolls. The beginning of the week is a little lighter. Today, we had a huge snapback rally Friday afternoon for end of the month window dressing. Did not surprise me. We'll have to see how much that follows through. And also the longer term topping patterns, like in the NASDAQ, were confirmed but not triggered. Not triggered, again, because of the snapback rally on Friday. So that's where we sit. We have ISM manufacturing. What I would pay attention to are still the prices component of this. They're expected to still bounce again. And unless this drops back below 50 on these couple other numbers, the headline number and the employment number, that's another thing that could potentially have a minor impact on the markets today. But then we just have some bill auctions and Muslim speaking right before noon tomorrow. Not much to talk about. We got Williams speaking, economic optimism index, but tomorrow's a very light day. Wednesday, pay attention. We have the ISM services on Wednesday. And again, pay attention to prices and employment are the key areas there. Remember, the smaller services index did drop into contraction. Now we have to see if the ISM services follow. Again, it's still looking like it's forecast to be in expansion, but we'll have to keep an eye on that on Wednesday. Thursday, you got initial and continuing jobless claims as always. And that's really about it. Besides, you got a lot of Fed speak after the market closes. And then Friday is the big day. And Thursday afternoon also, I'll say why in a second, but Friday we have non-farm payrolls. And then we got Bowman, Williams, Kugler, Powell speaking on Friday, Kugler again. So Friday is the big day this week. Looking at everything headed into the open. First, good morning, Richard. Good morning, Daniel. Well, thank you. I got up at 4:30 today, and I just didn't want to get up at 4:30 today. I didn't feel like it, but here I am. We've got Broadcom bouncing. You got a lot of chips bounce. Nvidia's slight pullback. You have a lot of the other mega caps bouncing, following through on Friday's price action. You have Palantir up 4%. So technology is leading the way. So that's what we have. Again, let's just refresh this one. We have basic materials, consumer cyclical, and technology. Gold also bouncing. Silver, copper could trigger % B buys today. Com services, you only have consumer defensive minorly negative. Everything else is positive. Fed watch is favoring still a cut in June. We'll have to see how that changes this week between non-farm payrolls and Fed speak. It's still an extreme fear, even with the bounce on Friday. And Schiller PE still 37.53. This week, in terms of earnings, there was not really much. Sterling put in a couple minor things this morning. Thank you, Sterling. After the close, there's not much. Tomorrow, you got Target and Best Buy and AutoZone. Target and Best Buy, not really probably going to, unless they have really bad guidance, not going to really affect the markets. But tomorrow's a very light day in terms of economic releases. bar Trump and any announcements today and anything else, because you always have the Trump factor now. But Target, Best Buy, I would pay attention and not ignore those. Don't sleep in tomorrow morning. Then you got CrowdStrike in the afternoon. Again, not much Wednesday at all. Zscaler. Again, nothing that's really going to move the markets. Thursday, not much in the morning. I'll pay attention from Kroger just from a consumer and grocery perspective. But the big thing, Broadcom and Costco. Broadcom and Costco Thursday afternoon. So Thursday afternoon, Costco can definitely be market moving, and Broadcom can be interesting. So Thursday afternoon is the big day this week, headed into non-farm payrolls on Friday morning. And Friday, in terms of earnings, there isn't much. Good morning, Ted. Good morning, McRangers. Good morning, Heinrich. Yeah, you just put good. Hold on. Let me say good morning to Anissa first. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Yeah, 200 million in Ethereum, Bitcoin with less than a 2% margin of error because it was traded at 50 to 1, 50 to 1 leverage. Love Eric Trump's "This is for retail while the Wall Street sleeps" comment. I'm not even going to comment, but we need a flush out in all government. This is just another flip side of the coin. That's my comment. I'll leave it at that. So, big snapback rally, hitting the 200. That's what I was watching for with the S&P and ticking off the 87.5 level. Again, do we still have the potential weekly double in play? Yes. Now, if we rally back up, especially around above 6,100, it's off the table. It still is not confirmed or triggered. I'm still closing back below the rotation zone on the weekly basis, so I'm in neutral mode. Still bearish mode. I'll still watch for rollover plays on the daily unless we get above some key levels. In the short term, going to be watching again just above the 6,000 area, and then really important, 6,047. That would take it back above the daily rotation zone and above the 62.5. And then I'd be watching it to retest the topping area. And again, neutral on the weekly. We're just in a huge consolidation phase still. So it's still got some lifting to do to really prove itself out. Don't know what the big investment announcement Trump's going to make today either. You're actively fighting Costco's DEI policy that they're keeping. Good luck with winning that fight. I wish we could just get rid of all DEI. It's a load of crap. But so today for the S&P, very key support level is back at this 59.50. Key resistance is, again, not only because it's a 50% harmonic, but you see last week. Look at that. So you had support, resistance confirmed again. So my major support level, 59.50. My major resistance level, about 6,006, 6,007. We break above 6,007, 6,047 is the next target. You break below 59.50, I'll be looking back to about 59.15. That's the short-term roadmap for the S&P that I am looking at. For the NASDAQ, bigger picture, confirming the double top. Well, remember, it's not technically a double top. Confirming the breakdown play. I just had the targets on there, but interesting enough, not triggering based off of Friday afternoon snapback rally, last trading day of February, last day of February. So it's still in neutral mode. It's in neutral mode on the weekly NASDAQ and in bearish mode on the daily. Okay. The key things, my levels on any pullback key support is 20,900. You break below that, I'm looking for a retest about 20,665 area. Very key resistance. I'm moving this level just down a little, which we've already tested, is 2,100. We break above 2,100 and can turn that into support. The next key target for me is 21,350 area. Move that down a little. 21,330, 21,330 to 21,350. All right, so those are keys what I'm looking. And if we continue to rally, the only thing that flips me into more sustained bullish mode is if we close back above 21,622. The Dow headed into some very key resistance. It's got to get above 44,200. 44,200 in the short term. Coming back on Friday, hitting the 62.5 retracement level and bouncing with that buy everything in the afternoon. And so that is my key support level at this point. We're looking at about 43.3 is to 43.190 is my key support zone. We have to sustain above, again, 44,200, and then I'll look for the next key level is about 44,450. The Russell, remember, it completed the double. Still, you have a lot of support down here in the Russell. Not surprising to see a bounce here. If it does close above Friday's high, it's a minor percent beat buy, but it already hit the rotation zone. In order to sustain something a little more, we have to get above 2,195. Above 2,195, then I'm looking for a potential return to 22.25. If we don't sustain above there, very key support then. Very key support is 21.45. What else? Sterling, you took a loss on a 1 hour double bottom ES that triggered at 11 a.m. on Friday, and I would take that trade again if it's presented itself today. It's all part of the game. Yet again, you're going to have losing trades no matter what. It's part of it. You limit your losses. And again, look, there was a little with the volatility on Friday. It's why I hate Fridays and I hate end of the months. But you had a little mini double and then it spiked down. Then you got the rip your face off rally. You got the 2 p.m. rip your face off rally. So would it have been nicer if that double just triggered and then it ran? Yeah, but that's part of it. You can't, again, that's why there's probabilities associated with everything, not guarantees. And that's also why you don't take 50 to 1 leverage and put all your eggs in one basket unless you have insider information. The VIX, still slightly elevated but dropping. Really has to get a move starting to drop back below about 18.25 before we can really sustain a rally. The DAX, remember, catching on the rotation zone last week, and the DAX to the moon, continuing, hitting the next cluster. Look at this. Remember the cluster area, and that would also invalidate the potential double. Well, double's been invalidated, hitting the next key cluster, and so far stalling out right there. On a continued rally, 23,453. And then the next major level is 24,000 roughly. Just over, slightly over 24,000. But we've already hit the minor harmonic cluster. Notes, ticking off the 87.5 and returning to the 200 on Friday. And some very key resistance up here. Is there a great setup just yet? No. I'm going to be watching for more of a potential topping pattern to come in here, but there's nothing yet. And the yields hitting the 200 also on the descending channel. I'm going to be watching more for a bottoming pattern in here, but nothing yet. Nothing yet. And that could be just for a bounce play only until it forms a stronger stronger pattern. Dollar index still in the channeling double. Nothing more to talk about. A little bounce going into the end of the month and now rolling over. And we still get to see what happens with Trump's tariffs. Remember, what are they? Tomorrow is the big potential tariff day. So we'll have to see if it follows through or if it's not postponed again. Nancy knows with this. Somebody, and it wasn't Nancy who knew this one. Build back broker. What is your rule about wicks in between a double? It's not just wicks. It's how much it moves up and down. It's not the wicks It's the harmonic levels that can invalidate a double. Crude, still trading against very key resistance. There again, some of these don't have great setups. The breakout level for me is above 70.35 with a sustained break above there, not a little wick above there, because you see it's got to, remember, my rule is it's got to break above there and then on a shorter term chart show it can hold support. Conversely, my breakdown level is 69.25. It's got to break below there and then confirm that that's actually held for any lower points. Other than that, it's just trading between two key levels, and those are only short-term setups. There's not much to talk about there. Gold, again, this is a double that did work. A little double bottom, triggered on Friday, and then hitting the targets and stalling out at the final target. Now, as long as gold can hold 2870 area, I'm going to be watching for a more sustained bounce. The next target is 28,993, and then back to 29 to 2909. It's the upside. Do we have a long-term retracement pattern yet? No. And gold, based off the daily, is in neutral mode. It's in neutral mode. And still, we finally returned to the weekly rotation zone last week. That's why I'm watching for some more upside, but we don't have a strong bottoming pattern just yet. Silver, again, a break above Friday's highs, as long as it closes above there, is a %B buy bounce, but has to be pretty nimble with a stop below 31.36 on a closing basis. Copper, same thing here. Potential bounce only. %B buy if it closes above, but again, my key target would be back to 470. That's, you got to be nimble, and risk to reward is tough. Where else do we sit? The yen. Finally, a little bounce here. We're going to be watching now with the rotation zone coming into very key resistance for a little pullback play to see if we get a stronger bottoming with the yen holding a very key support area. Very key support area. So if it does break below last week's lows, then we could see some yen continuing strengthening for a while. Not much to talk about with the euro. Besides, there's just not a lot of great patterns. Remember, the potential double bottom extended too far to the right. Just another snapback. Oops, didn't mean to move those levels. There's another little snapback rally with a %B buy. Again, the euro, if it closes above Friday's highs, but that was only a %B buy into resistance. So remember, just because, from my perspective, just because there's a setup, if you can't get proper reward to risk, it's still no trade. You might have a setup, but no trade. Let's just take a look at Bitcoin, because you had the announcement over the weekend. Ironically enough, is Saturday was a %B buy. Sunday was the announcement. So you had the long tail spiking down. So remember, we were watching for the trigger on the weekly, confirming on the weekly, but with the crypto reserve announcement not officially triggering after hitting the first target. And then triggering a %B buy on Saturday, then you got the announcement. Now, I'm still going to be, since this is officially triggered and the stop has been reduced, I'm still watching for potential rollover plays unless we close back above 97,720. Spiders, key level here. After Friday's price action, the very key levels here, 597.84 to the upside, and then the major level is 601.68 on a closing basis. On a key support level, you're at 590. Your first level is 594, just above 594 for the gap fill, and where the 37.5 harmonic is. So 594.18, and then 590 to 590.14. The Qs also confirming the potential double top, but not triggering it. The Qs, however, also back to neutral mode on the weekly and still bearish mode on the daily, unless it can really do some heavy lifting. Key target area for me is first key target area for me is about 513.40, and then the next target is 518.87. And that's some very major resistance right around that level. Right around here. You see how that lines up with the harmonic. On any rollover plays, it's the gap fill to Friday's close 508.17, and then my key support level is right down. I need another line. There we go. We'll just move this one up there. Right around this, and the reason I'm looking at this low is we have the reversal gap, slight little minor gap from Friday down that corresponded with this low that's holding. So on any rollover play past that gap fill, major support is 500, just below 500. It depends. Again, you can always enter a double before it officially triggers. However, if it does not trigger, I would not remain in it. That's a personal preference. If you want to get in more trades, you can easily enter them, but you cannot remain in the trade until it triggers. So, for example, let's just use this. Let's say you were short here. Let's even say you entered it once it confirmed and actually triggered on the daily. So you're riding it down. Now, since it didn't actually continue to trigger, you have to be out at this point. You have to be out. There is no official trigger on the trade. If you want fewer trades and you don't mind, hey, waiting for your probabilities go up if you wait for the official trigger, but you won't have as many trades. It's a personal preference. So if you're a more active trader and don't mind, hey, getting in something and managing a trade, because you're going to have, once you're in it before it officially triggers, you're going to have to manage it and manage it more closely. All right, let's see what else we have. We have Tesla coming finally down. We hit the 200 on Friday and reversed. The first key level of resistance is 312 on this bounce, and then 325. Remember, we hit very oversold conditions and we have cycles moving up. So not surprising to see a bounce here. And we did not close below 62.5 yet, so that's still key. If we roll over, we don't have a long-term bottom here. Don't have a long-term bottom. It's a bounce play only. NVIDIA still caught in a huge consolidation phase. This not much going on. We've got Broadcom. Again, Broadcom's earnings this week. Still just grinding lower. On any miss, I'm watching for a reconnection with the 200. Is there any fantastic setups there? No. There aren't a lot of fantastic setups right now, which means sometimes if there's no fantastic setups, you sit on your hands and wait for the fantastic setups. Costco, remember, priced to perfection and beyond. Costco's trading at a P to E of 60. Keep that in mind. If you're long Costco going into earnings, know where your key stops are. Costco still extended from the weekly rotation zone, and I'm watching if it does drop back into the weekly rotation zone, although we are getting massive divergence up here on a longer term basis. You see on here the monthly, it's been on a tear, and we're getting steps down divergences. So if you're long it, I know where my stop would be going into earnings. Is there a major topping pattern? No. Patience, again, that's why you don't always, no trade is still a trade. It's a trade of patience and waiting for a setup. There isn't always a setup. Every day does not have a setup. unless you're just trying to force something. There aren't great setups every day. Unless you're a super micro trader, but there's still not great setups. Some days don't have setups. Even from a scalping perspective, from my perspective of scalping. So you wait for the good ones. It'll do you a lot better should you wait for the good setups, the setups at good locations, and then you manage your reward to risk. If you're constantly just trying to find trades, you'll find things to do, but it's not going to help your account. Nothing's changed going into the open, so we got about a minute. Again, nothing's changed. Still 6,005 area is key resistance. It's got to sustain above that for any breakout play, and key support is still this 59.50. Going into the open, minor support is 59.80. Let's see where the tick opened. Moderately strong, not above 1,000, but moderately strong at that 800 level. So on the tick pullback, I'm going to watch for the key supports to hold on the tick pullback. So it's got to really hold something with this 59.80. If we start dropping below that, I'll start watching for the bigger pullback going into with the tick pullback. Other than that, if this holds, then in the short term, it's got to go up 59.92, and then the target area for me would be that 6,005, and then if it sustains above that, then it's the breakout play. Mike, the massive X, the home builders triggered Head and Shoulders, set up a mini double bottom. Yeah, it does have a mini double bottom. Would that invalidate it against the 87.5? But that isn't, the mini double is not triggered. Remember, it's also against the rotation zone. So, could it trigger for a bounce play? Yeah, but it has not yet, so there's nothing to do, and that would not invalidate this massive, massive Head and Shoulders. See, look where that would take it back to. If that even were to trigger, look, it's back in the weekly rotation zone. Again, think this doesn't have to collapse. This is a many-week potential trade to the downside. You'll get bounce plays, so I keep an eye on that. But this would be one I'd watch for the bounce play and then the next rollover play, if it were to trigger. Yeah, potential double bottom. I think my life is empty if I hit a trade at 7 a.m. and I'm done. What? Well, then you get to be done. Then you go do other things. You know, you don't have to sit in the chair all day. Sometimes it's best not to. You just find reasons to lose money. All right, with that, let's just peek at the NASDAQ too. Again, these have to still prove themselves on a continuing rally to make sure it's just not an end-of-month window dressing going into the beginning of this month and then the next rollover play. We do have a confirmed breakdown, not a confirmed double top, because it technically is not a double top because of this big rotation in there. But that's where we said, I'll just pull it off since it's technically not a double top. That's where we sit. I hope everyone has a wonderful trading day, and I shall talk to everyone later. Bye for now.